Hello, I'm Zihan. Welcome back to another episode of Not Just Games. Today, we'll be looking into unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs. We've covered aerial warfare before. Immediately after the aerial warfare video was released, a viewer emailed me requesting me to talk about UAVs. So here I am. Today, we'll be taking a closer look at UAVs, also known as drones, which can be used to spy on enemies or cause massive destruction from millions of miles away. Before I begin, I'd like to let you know that this script is written by Zhiwen, a friend of mine who himself is a practicing mechatronic engineer. Just so you know, mechatronic engineering is a branch of engineering that focuses on the engineering of, among other things, electrical and mechanical systems, robotics, electronics, and computers. Therefore, needless to say that my friend is qualified enough to explain the workings of UAVs. If you find the contents interesting or useful, I'd like to sincerely ask you to like this video so that others can enjoy it as well, and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any other future contents. Now, let's get back to business. In games, UAVs are usually found in warfare shooters such as Ghost Recon Breakpoint, COD, The Division 2, and Arma. In Arma 3, players can set drones to fly automatically to a designated place and provide firepower support for infantry troops. They can also be used to send destruction from the sky, punishing any armored vehicle that is unaware. In Ghost Recon Breakpoint, the players are faced with a variety of enemy drones, most of them UAVs and others ground drones. Several classes can use drones as well. For example, the Engineer class can deploy an attack drone for offensive purposes, and a supply drone to restock on ammo. They're also featured in some other futuristic games. Nier Automata's support ports have a variety of attack modes, including Gatling gun, laser, and missiles attacks. They can even be equipped with special chips to use special skills called pod programs, such as firing a huge laser beam or create a body double that acts as a decoy. There's also Borderlands 3, where one of its playable characters, Zane, deploys drones to help him in combat. Watch Dogs 2 Quadcopter is another popular UAV in games, which is used to infiltrate enemy bases and hack their systems to steal information or sabotage them. Due to the rising popularity of drone racing in real life, drone racing games began to surface as well, such as Drone the Game, Drone Racing League, Drone Racing Simulator, Quadcopter FX Simulator Pro, Drone Strike Force, 3D Drone Strike Simulator. You get the idea? So, what exactly is a UAV? As its name suggests, it is a flying vehicle that is unmanned or without a pilot within. In definition, a UAV, first, is able to use aerodynamic forces to lift itself and its payload. Secondly, does not require a pilot, is either fully autonomous or remotely controlled. And lastly, is generally reusable. Ballistic missiles, which are unmanned and are either autonomous or remotely controlled, are sometimes not considered as UAVs, as they are expendable, single-use weapons rather than a recoverable vehicle. But this definition is not always set in stone. We'll talk more about this later. Its size can vary from that of an insect, about only 5 cm long, to your typical commercial drones, remote control plane models that you and I can buy, all the way to unmanned combat aircraft, such as the Boeing X-45. UAVs can be categorized by size into the following sizes: micro for less than 250 grams, very small for 250 grams to 2 kilograms, small for 2 kilograms to 25 kilograms, medium for 25 kilograms to 150 kilograms, and large for more than 150 kilograms. They are also typically categorized according to their methods of propulsion. The three main categories are rotor-powered, aeroplane, and powered lift. Rotor-powered drones, either single or multi-rotor, works like helicopters and are able to hover or stay in one spot in the air. Aeroplane drones take off and land horizontally like typical airplanes and are usually unable to hover. Powered lift drones are a hybrid between the rotor-powered and aeroplane drones. They take off and land vertically like a helicopter, but move forward with horizontal thrust and are able to hover. In fact, civilian UAVs outnumber the military UAVs by millions. They are mainly being used for photography and filming, product deliveries, and performing stunning light shows during festivals. Nevertheless, UAVs have their roots in aerial warfare, and that will be the main focus of this video. Mainly, there are 4 types of military UAVs: target and decoy, reconnaissance, combat, and logistics. Target and decoy. Target drones are used by anti-aircraft forces to practice their air at a flying target, improving air defenses. Decoy UAVs are also used as decoys to fool enemy anti-aerial defense systems. Using radar reflectors and heat generators, they simulate the infrared heat signal of a fighter jet or bomber, diverting enemy resources away from actual combat aircraft. Reconnaissance drones. Knowledge is power, so knowing your enemy well grants you power over them. Recon drones transmit video, audio, and other information from beyond the enemy lines without risking the lives of pilots. Combat UAVs, or more popularly known as UCAVs, are armed with missiles and guns to destroy enemy targets, which may be personnel or buildings. Finally, logistical UAVs are used to deliver cargo quickly in areas with no land or water access. Just like how aerial warfare began with kites, UAV's humble beginning was related to a common party toy or decoration: balloons. On July 12, 1849, during the First Italian War of Independence, the Austrians tried to float balloons carrying incendiary explosives over Venice, before dropping them onto the city to burn and destroy Venetian buildings. But how did they drop them? Remote control did not exist back then. They could not possibly maneuver and operate balloons from a distance. Putting timed fuses on the balloons, the Austrians set up the fuses in a way that the balloons would drop on the city by the time they were right above it. However, they neglected to factor in the wind direction, and most of the balloons missed their targets. Some even floated back to Austrian lines and, ironically, their warship SMS Volcano, which was used to launch the balloons. The idea of the balloon bomb was ingenious, but they could only float and follow wherever the wind goes. Something had to be done to control the direction of the aerial vehicle. During the First World War, the first automatic airplanes were invented using radio wave technology developed by Archibald Law, an English engineer known as the father of radio guidance system. The first remote-controlled aircraft were either used as expandable explosives that were meant to take out their enemies, kamikaze style, or target practice for the artillery. The Hewitt-Sperry automatic airplane and the Catherine Buck, developed in 1917, were among the earliest UAVs that were remotely controlled using radio waves. They were hugely successful, but by the time they were ready, the war was already over. During the Second World War, Reginald Denny, a successful stage, film, and television actor, was the pioneer of mass-produced multi-purpose drones. Who would have guessed? Seems like not all actors are just for shows. Get it? Anyway, this Englishman moved to the States to develop his Hollywood career. By 1934, the Englishman also started Reginald Denny Industries with his business partner and opened up an aircraft model hobbyist shop known as Reginald Denny Hobby Shops. They went to become the Radioplane Company and produced nearly 15,000 Radioplane OQ-2 for the US Army. These were mainly target drones used for target practice by anti-air forces. But early UAVs could only be operated within the operator's sight, as they could not know the condition of the plane without observation. Introducing another key inventor in the development of UAVs, Edward M. Sorensen. His patented invention used a ground terminal to track a plane's movement, which allowed remote operators to track the status of a plane without looking at it. Sorensen's invention allowed operators to know the tilt, velocity, altitude, and other information of the UAV from afar, safely. The US had also used UAVs to drop aerial torpedoes into the sea, but were met with limited success. The Germans, however, utilized the same technology to make cruise missiles, such as the Germans' V-1 flying bomb. These are designed to detonate upon hitting a ground target. Later on, during the Cold War, other than radioplane drones, the US Army acquired a number of other drones such as Globe Aircraft's KD-6G Firefly and the McDonnell ADM-20 Quail, which is a decoy drone. A decoy drone tricks the enemy's radar sensors using infrared burners that imitate heat signatures of a bomber. This diverts the enemy's interception efforts and allows the real bombers to sneak by enemy defenses. The Cold War also marked the rapid development of nuclear weapons, as the US and the USSR engaged each other in an arms race. Other than developing and testing their nuclear bombs, the US modified Boeing B-17 into drones for data collection. In 1947, during the famous Operation Crossroads nuclear test at Bikini Atoll, drones were used to collect information within the explosion cloud. From 1951 onwards, more drones were deployed as reconnaissance tools, such as the Rhine Model 147 Lightning Bug and the Lockheed D-21. These drones were fitted with television cameras to transmit what they see back to US Air Force bases. The US attempted to spy on countries such as North Vietnam, North Korea, and USSR using these drones. The USSR developed their own recon drones during this period, but since the projects were conducted in secrecy, not much details on USSR UAVs are available. From the 1950s through 1970s, UAVs were mainly used for target practice, decoy missions, and recon and surveillance. They were mostly taking up the supporting roles in aerial warfare. However, as UAV technology slowly matured, their roles have been pivotal in many wars. For example, the Israeli Air Forces used the UAVs as decoys in the 1973 Yom Kippur War, taking missiles hits for piloted fighter jets and wasting the Egyptians and Syrians' precious anti-aircraft missiles. Again, in the 1982 Lebanon War, the Israeli Air Forces used the radar decoys to utterly render the Syrian air defenses useless, earning Israel yet another victory. Nearer to the 21st century, armed UAVs or unmanned combat aerial vehicles, UCAVs, that we usually see in movies and games began to emerge. UCAVs, such as the General Atomics MQ-1 Predator, were deployed by the US, equipped with guns or air-to-ground missiles for offensive operations. The US deployed these combat UAVs during the Afghanistan War in 2001 and also other interventions in Iraq, Libya, and Syria. Using a combination of GPS, human recognition and tracking, infrared vision, and other technologies, combat UAVs are able to track their targets closely and land quick, precise attacks on their targets. Using GPS and other network systems, the operators can easily track down the location of their target's phones. Some drones may even employ face recognition technologies to identify and follow targets. Last but not least, infrared vision allows drones to track the heat signatures of their targets even if they were hiding behind walls. While they may be controlled out of sight, modern UCAVs are usually deployed from a base within the takeoff operator's side. This is to avoid any issues with weather and collision with other UAVs or aircraft. More importantly, transmission signal delays may cause the takeoff to fail and the UCAV to crash. After taking off and ensuring the UCAV is safely in the air, the controls are then transferred to another base closer to the operation area. At least 2 people are required to operate a UCAV. One is a flight operator, also known as the pilot, who controls the speed and direction of the drone, while the other one would be the sensor operator, who controls all the other sensors and also the weapons. When firing their weapons, the sensor operator must take into account the projectile speed of the drone's weapons and the target's movement to calculate where to land their strikes. In the movie Good Kill, the operators track the movement of a moving vehicle using a drone. With a little calculation, they were able to pinpoint where to fire the missile, striking the moving vehicle accurately. From the previous aerial warfare video, a viewer has posed this question to us. Is the static hovering image of the drone, such as the ones in Good Kill, realistic? And why? They have also submitted a clip for our reference. To answer this question, we need to find out what model is used in this movie. A quick search online would tell us that the MQ-9 Reaper, which was developed from the MQ-1 Predator mentioned earlier, is the drone in question. When we see a static angle like this, we would think, oh, the drones must be hovering. However, the MQ-9 Reaper is not a rotor-powered nor a power-led drone. It is an aeroplane drone. An aeroplane UAV depends on ailerons and spoilers on its wings to adjust to speed and direction, so it cannot hover in one place like a helicopter. While aeroplane drones like the Reaper and Predator cannot hover, they can orbit around an area or locking onto a target. However, prior to launching a missile, the drone has to face the target and be far enough to get the right firing angle to hit the target. Nevertheless, can it really produce a stable camera angle while tracking its target, just like in the movie? A drone like the MQ-9 would either track moving targets as they move or orbit around a stationary one. So, A static footage this close seems more like an artistic representation of a drone camera footage. However, if they had used a hovering drone like a quadcopter, then it would make sense that the footage angle is relatively still. The Purge election year has featured this type of drones being used in anti-personnel weapons. This is a rather straightforward combination: drones equipped with guns and mechanical contraptions installed to pull the trigger. In the movie, UAVs that look a lot like typical commercial drones were armed with machine guns, raining death from the sky, ripping through the bodies of men with ease. They are so unpredictable, quick and accurate that targets did not even stand a chance. The protagonist, Dmitry, was lucky to be saved by his friend as he found cover underneath the car, but the rest were not so lucky. Upscaling that, we get Mysterio's drones from Spider-Man: Far From Home. Mysterio, the villain in that film, used up a swarm of drones to create holographic illusions and used ballistic weapons to wreak havoc upon buildings and the environment. While holographic illusions are far from being a reality yet, equipping guns and missiles on drones are plausible with today's technology. There are also people who would attach a flamethrower on a drone, but that's more like a pest control equipment rather than a combat weapon. Other than equipping a drone with the weapons, a drone can also be a weapon. There's a type of UAV called LMAMS, or Lethal Miniature Aerial Missile System. This is a type of explosive weapon that works like a mini missile. As mentioned previously, the line between a missile and a UAV can sometimes be blurry. This bad boy looks like a small UAV and can be launched by an infantryman either by hand or a cannon launcher. It carries an explosive payload and can be controlled remotely. They are also called loitering munitions because they are like a bomb that is waiting for its target from somewhere nearby before the final dive. These kamikaze drones are small and designed with stealth in mind, usually having an anti-radar profile and noise reduction features, such as the Israelite IAI Harab and Harpy. Its main purpose is to take out aircrafts like fighter jets or snipers hiding behind enemy lines. It may also be used as a decoy drone, attracting enemy fire to cover allied aircraft. The added advantage of loitering munitions is they are recoverable should they be unused and have enough fuel to be flown back, unlike cruise missiles which have little to none loitering capabilities and are totally irrecoverable. Unless detected early and destroyed preemptively using adequate AA weapons or defense systems, UAVs are formidable weapons due to the high stealth, maneuverability, and swiftness. Modern UAVs can maintain high altitudes for long periods of time. Coupled with high-zoom cameras which can allegedly identify a license plate number from a 20,000-mile altitude, they are ideal for ambushing targets. However, every coin has two sides, so UAVs have their weaknesses as well. Today, we shall talk about two of these, which are data transmission delay and weather. UAVs depend heavily on data transmission to keep the operators notified of their situation. Latency or lag in the data transmission may destabilize a UAV or mess up the timing of a missile launching. Imagine launching a missile just a second late because of lag, missing a target entirely while giving them a big warning at that. That would jeopardize your whole mission. Electronic jammers are also highly effective against UAVs because it disrupts them from sending and receiving data, and they will not receive their operator's commands. Secondly, weather can greatly impact UAV missions, because wind and rain will certainly drain more effort from the UAV to stabilize itself against the forces of nature, depleting its fuel quicker. Not only that, cold weather may cause condensation and icing within the circuitry, which may reduce the lifespan of a UAV. Fog and rain will also reduce visibility, affecting a UAV's tracking and targeting system. In the worst scenario, the visual data collected from the flight may not even be usable, wasting enormous time and money. From an ethical point of view, drone strike operators are extremely prone to psychological stress from causing collateral damage, which is killing civilians, just like what happened in the movie Good Kill. Some may even get PTSD because they would actually witness the pain and destruction it caused on human bodies, albeit 1,000 miles away. As such, operators undergo extreme desensitization training to the point where they dehumanize or even demonize their targets, just like how in Season 3 Episode 5 of Black Mirror, the soldiers were programmed to look at enemies in a foreign country as roaches, a kind of mutated humans. Needless to say, the psychological trauma in the drone strike survivors are even more severe, especially the children who had witnessed hellfire raining from above. After witnessing first aiders get hit by a double-tap drone strikes, onlookers and families would not dare to rescue any drone strike victims. According to current laws of war, UAVs are not expressly banned, nor are they tightly regulated. Perhaps a review and revision of these laws are necessary to minimize civilian suffering caused by UAVs during warfare. All in all, UAVs are indeed powerful tools, but they must be used responsibly because the disastrous harm it will cause is not only the bodily pain on human bodies, but a deep mental scar that may last for generations to come. Conflicts continue to arise, and wars will be fought, but the laws of war should keep up with contemporary weapons and technology to uphold its purpose, minimizing suffering. Today, we've covered the history and development of UAVs, particularly in the military. Would you be interested in another video about anti-UAV measures, commercial UAVs? Feel free to leave your questions and share your comments down below. If you enjoyed watching this video, do smash the like button, share and subscribe so that we can make more videos like this. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and see you in the next episode.
Testing.
I am currently employed by Skeltech as one of their machine learning engineers. Please, I urge you, do not believe their corporate propaganda. I fear that they are summoning the devil with their innovations, and despite what they claim, Aroa is not a paradise for you and your family. Their drone technology is highly dangerous, easy to mass produce, and without proper regulations will undoubtedly fall into the wrong hands. The following video was kept from the public and shows how Skell lost control of 3 farmer drones on Aroa. What may seem like a flock of birds are actually legions, and they can be seen here remotely reprogramming drone software. These farmers suddenly turn, leave the field, and plow directly onto an active highway. The accident caused multiple fatalities, and later, we see the farmers heading towards a built-up area. The next video is from a deep learning field test used to gauge the speed at which the Stolas drones can analyze and destroy their opponent. Through layers of attacks, the swarm records their prey's behavioral patterns and transmits them through a collective intelligence to the next swarm. This means you'll need to outsmart them each time, as they will quickly learn how to predict your moves and defenses. Notice in the 3rd round how the drones essentially blind the tank by taking out one of its LiDAR sensors. By the 4th round, now that the swarm have found a weak spot, the behemoth really doesn't stand a chance. Imagine the impact if these drones were deployed on a city, on us. We need to do something before it's too late. Our future depends on it. Thank you.